All right, so this is the Power BI version of the HSE incident trend analysis tool. So in our previous video, we created this dashboard in Microsoft Excel. Today, we're going to do that in Power BI. So this is basically how it looks like. The advantage of Power BI is the fact that it is very, very responsive, very dynamic, and users can actually engage depending on the level of details you provide for people to engage with. They can actually drill down all the way to the year level, the quarter to the month level. They can do a lot of things, right? Now, another interesting thing about Power BI is the fact that the source file, which is the Power BI template itself, once you update and you publish your reports, automatically every user of the Power BI report is going to get a real-time update of the latest changes to the database or the data set. So whenever you update Power BI and you publish your reports, everybody, irrespective of their location, whether they are operating a global level, so you have global access to your report, or they operate on a national level or at the local level, everybody's going to get access to the reports. So Power BI works best when you have the Power BI service. So Power BI service is a premium or a pro license that you need to be able to have access to the cloud. So this is like the cloud, and I have my cloud right here. So this is my workspace. So every Power BI file that I have, once I publish, it loads right in here on my workspace, and I can actually click on it like this. I can click on it like this to open. All right, so that I can have access to the file like this, and I could come over here, click on embed, and I can generate a URL. So depending on the type of URL you want, whether you want to publish it to the public or you want to publish it within your organization, or you just want to embed in SharePoint, you can actually do that. So this is the URL that I have. So I just Control C, I come over here, and I'll just paste it right in there. So this becomes the reports that you can share with all your stakeholders. So this is the reason why Power BI is the next level reporting. It's the best business intelligence tool you can ever find in all the ecosystem of business intelligence, because there's the likes of Tableau, there's the likes of various complex ones that I've not even heard of, but Power BI stands tall among the rest. All right, so we are going to create a template like this in Power BI, and definitely we need to start from scratch. All right, now one thing you need to know is that Power Query is an important part of basically the whole data cleaning, data extracting, data transformation tool that we're going to be using in Power BI. So we have it in Excel, we have it in Power BI. So just take note of that. We did extensive knowledge sharing on how to clean data and everything. I explained all of that. Today's episode, we're going to move very fast so we can actually focus on the data modeling and the tax measures that we need to be able to do what we want to do today. All right, so without wasting time, let me quickly open my folder. So I have my projects folder in here. All right, so I'm just going to open the Excel sheet so you see what it is. As you can see, it is just the data set that we have. We don't have any other reports in there. And then again, I have a blank sheet, so I'll just click on it to open. Okay, so this blank sheet basically is just the Power BI file itself. So this is what the back end of the Power BI report will look like. I mean, when you're starting off, this basically a blank sheet. But once we start to create our visuals and everything, then you're going to see all of them populating nicely. And once we hit publish, then we can have it in the cloud where we can extract the URL. All right, so basically what we're going to start to do right now is to import our data from Excel. So we're just going to click here, and then we find where the the template is. Basically we have it here, so I'm just going to load it. So I'm going to open, right? So they say file already exists. For some reason, that's crazy. So let me find out what's going on. How is file already exist? How does it exist? So I'm coming to data transformation, and I'll come here. Okay, so file doesn't exist. So just close it. File doesn't exist. So I'll just get data. So let's get data. I mean, sometimes if it doesn't allow us to use this section, we can get data. So let's connect to an Excel workbook. We're going to load from here. All right, so I'm going to click OK. Oh, you know what? The file is already open. That's something I always forget. Whenever you have the Excel file open, it's not going to load. So you need to make sure that you close the Excel file. So there's something that usually I can forget sometimes, and it's always good for us to see some of these things so that we can learn from it. Whenever you're loading your Excel file, your CSV file, whatever type of file into Power BI, you need to make sure that file has been closed. Now we are not just loading to Power BI. What we're coming to do is that we're coming to transform the data. So once you're transforming the data, what means that we're going to be using Power Query. And there's the Power Query, which we looked at yesterday. That there's the left pane, there's the center pane, there's the right pane. The right pane has all the applied states that are going to be taken. we have the the query ribbon, we have the tabs, we have the home tab. So the home tab is for removing columns, keeping columns, removing rows and all of that. The transform is more of a lot of data cleaning tools that you have here. You can extract, you can trim, you can clean, you can replace values. The add column also has the same features of the transform, except the fact that you're going to be creating new columns. You have the view tab. All right, so as always, we always say that make sure that the view, under the view tab, you have all of these checked because they all play an important role. Okay, now I'm not going to be explaining all of this. We've already discussed it in our previous video. So if you want to learn more about what all of these basically stats and indicators, if you know what all of that mean, you want to go back and look at the previous video. All right, so without wasting time, I'm just going to be moving very fast to clean up the data. Okay, so maybe I'll just keep talking a little bit. I just want to replace this, so I just click on it. I'll come to transform, I'll replace value. So it's going to load the date in there, the wrong dates. I just want to put the correct date. So the date format, it start with the day, the month, the year. We're going to type right in there 24/03/2025, and I'm going to replace that. Okay, now one thing you need to also take notice is that in our previous video we didn't notice that, but this one we can see that the column headers are not even at the top because we need to promote all of them. So right within the home tab we can promote the headers. So we're going to use the first row as headers. We're going to keep clicking on it up until the date comes to the top. So we have the date, the case ID, the department, all of them are now at the top. Okay, so now we have the column filters right in there. So we're going to look within and see where the errors are. We have all of these errors to fix. So we're going to take our time and extract before delimiter, right? So you have some delimiters, we have the apostrophe, we have the full stop and all of that. So we're just quickly going to go to transform and we go to extract text before delimiter. So the first one is the apostrophe, we remove it. I'm going to do text before delimiter again, and this time around is a full stop. I'm going to put it there and remove it. So if I go in there, those texts are all gone. Now it's left with these these three. So these ones we definitely have to replace. These are quotation, right? So I'll go to replace value. All right, I type in double quotation and I replace with nothing. So that's gonna clean this up. But take note, there are some rules all the way at the bottom which you don't need. So I'm just gonna go to the home tab and I'm gonna remove rows. So we're gonna remove rows from the bottom, right? But how many rows are we gonna remove from the bottom? We need to just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to remove 9 rows all the way at the bottom. But we don't want to just guess. We want to take our time and do it carefully, because we don't want to lose any data point which is important for us to work with. So I'm going to remove rows from bottom. I'm going to start with 7. So once I clean 7, then I have just 2 more to go. So now I can say that I have 2 more to go. So I'm just going to remove rows from bottom and tap in 2. So that's going to remove those rows down. Right now, let's look at the dates. I think we've cleaned up the dates. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to date format, right? So we change it to the date format, and this time around everything looks perfect, as opposed to yesterday's, which wasn't the best because we needed to create another column in order to create the dates again. But this time it worked. All right, so let's go on. What else are we supposed to do? The case ID, we need to make sure that we remove all of this now. Now, we did mention the importance of the foreign key in our data set, which is a unique identifier, but we can tell that there's a complete blank row in here. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to remove the null. So if I click on the filter and I remove the null, it removes this from our data set. So right now what we have is that we have 100 distinct, 99, 98 unique. So the 98 is telling us that we have 98 of the 100 distinct values have appeared once. 2 of them have repeated. So it could mean that there are some duplicates. So how do we find a duplicate? We just come here and we click on keep duplicate, right? We click on keep duplicate. We're going to see the duplicate that we have in our data set, right? So let's undo again. As I did mention, Power Query can actually undo some steps that you take. And let's right click and say remove duplicate, right? The reason I remove duplicate is very important for the foreign key is that the foreign key is a unique identifier and it has to be distinct value all throughout. So we've cleaned up the date, we've cleaned out the case ID. The next thing we're going to do is to clean the department. Now we look within the department filter, we can see that there are some errors or some repeated parameters or values. So we can see that the safety has appeared 3 times. You can see that operations has appeared twice. So we're going to clean that. Now what is the issue with safety? We can see that let's filter them out. So safety here, safety there, safety here as well, and let's see what's happening. This one has space in front, and this one probably is a lower case. We want to make sure that we clean it properly. So we're gonna go to transform, come to format, and we're gonna trim the space before and after the text, right? And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna replace value. So we look at the first text, which is a smaller letter, safety, replace it with the bigger text, safety, right? And then we would look at it again. Safety has now been cleaned. Now we look at operations and the other one. This operation is a typo, so just go to replace value. But before that, let's make sure that we are typing exactly what the typo is, right? So I'm gonna filter out the typo. I'm gonna click on it, and then I'll just Control C from the bottom here, and then I'll undo this step. Then I'll replace the value. So replace value, I'm gonna paste the wrong from text in there, and I'm gonna type in the correct one. So I'll just replace it, and let's go look within this filter. So engineering, administration, logistics, maintenance, operation, safety, they're all clean. Move on to the next, which is location. The location, we're going to be doing analysis based on location. But you can see that Wasa, the location has a region attached to it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to add column, and we're going to extract. So we're going to extract text before delimiter. So we put a delimiter there, which is a comma, and that's going to create another column for us. So we go all the way here. We see that the column is right there. We come back again. The same column selected, we go to extract after delimiter, and we're going to put a comma right there, right? So the delimiter is a comma or a colon or semicolon or any type of sort of symbol, should I say symbol, comma, and all of that, right? So just click OK, and it's going to create all of this, right? We have the region separated. So what we're going to do is that we're going to remove this column from our data set, and I'm going to rename this as location, and this one is going to be region. All right, so we have that done. We move on to the next, and that is the even with the department, let's look within it and make sure everything is correct. So we've already done that. Let's go on to incident type. So we have some errors with the incident type. So one is that there's a delimiter right in front, which is fatality. So we just have to replace extract text before delimiter, right? So before that, let's trim, because trim is something we probably want to do every time. So transform, format, let's trim it first. After trimming, let's then extract text before delimiter. Text before delimiter, which will be full stop, right? So we do that quickly. We go in there, we check. We have the fatality reduced. Now we have the last one, so that's a double Y at the end. So let's just replace value and the transform tab. So that's fatality, and let's replace it. Now whenever we are typing, we want to make sure that it's exactly what it is in our data set. So let's just correct it. Now I'm supposed to be moving very fast, but I don't know, this process is not something that you can move so fast. So let's just keep going, right? Let's look at what is wrong with first aid. There is a space between, double space between the text. Now trim function does not remove text in between, spaces in between text. It only does what is in front and after. So what we're going to do is that we're going to replace value again. I'm going to enter double space, replace it with one space, and then that's going to remove the space between the first aid. So the only thing left right now is spill and spilled. Now we need to replace the spilled with spill. So let's go to transform, replace value, right? Replace value, and we type in spilled with spill. All right, So we do that really quick. Let's go back and check. Now we have some distinct entries, right? Except near miss. So we have one is 2 words, one is 1 word. Let's maintain 2 words, right? So let's find this one and replace it. So we just want to go to replace value and type in near miss, exactly what it is. And then we're gonna, type in the correct one, we replace value. Okay, so we check again to make sure everything is correct. So fatality, fire, first aid, lost time, medical treatment, injury, near miss, property damage. Now we have distinct values in there. We move on to the next. Over here we need to trim, format. We trim the space before and after, and then we move on to the next. Over here we have some nulls. These nulls, though they make sense that there's going to be null because fire is not a personal injury incident, so we're going to have these null. So what we need to do is that we need to replace a null with not applicable, because we don't want to leave any blank showing in our report. All right, so replace value, the null is exactly what it has been spelled. We replace it with not applicable. We'll do the same thing for the injury type. Replace value now with not applicable. So we're going to do that really quick. And what else? We move on again, and then the high incident severity, there are 3 distinct, so there's no issue with it. And this one we have an issue, 5 distinct, 1 unique. And then we could tell that there's a space right here. Okay, so basically we're gonna trim. We come to the trim and then we do that right now. So it's gonna clean it up. And also over here we have some 4 distinct, 1 unique. The unique is probably the fact that there's a space in front of a text. We're gonna trim as well. So trimming is something that you probably want to be doing every now and then. In as much as we've trimmed, we're still having some issues in here, so we need to find out what's the issue. Okay, now it has been cleared, so we have just 3 distinct values. All right, and then over here also we have 2. Over there we have 4 and we have 4 also. That's good. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to clean this one. So description was spelled wrongly, so let's type the correct one. And I think we are done with our data cleaning. Now the next thing we're going to do is we want to change this to source data, because we're going to be referencing this in our calculation, right? So let's call it source data. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create references. Reference tables. So reference tables are a bit different from duplicates. Reference in the sense that it's going to be independent of this one. So when this one changes, it's not going to affect this. So let's just create some duplicates. Sorry, not duplicate. Let's delete this one, and let's try to create a reference of the table, and then we're going to call this one location. So this one's going to be location, because we're going to use them as filters or dimension tables, right? So those will be our dimension tables. So location, incident type, and then we have our department. So these are what we're going to use as basically dimension tables, right? So we're going to remove those columns, unnecessary columns. So we're going to only keep the column for locations. Let's go all the way here and pick location, remove others, right? And then we're going to remove duplicates. So it's going to give us unique list of locations. Incident type also, we would basically remove duplicates. Remove other columns and remove duplicates right now, and this gives us unique list of incident. And we do the same thing for department. So the same thing, we remove other columns and then we would remove duplicates. We have list of departments. All right, so now we're going to load. Basically we come to home and we click on load, close and apply, close and apply. So that's going to basically load our tables into the data model, right? So So the data model is basically the fact that there's a model view right in here. So this is basically the model view. So the data model is already integrated in Power BI, basically works interface, because we have the report view here, we have the table view, we have the model view, we have the DAX query view. All right. So basically the interesting thing about Power BI is the fact that it automatically establishes the relationship the moment those tables are have been created, because department will connect to department, location will connect to location, incident will connect to incident type, right? And this is unique list of parameters or categorical data. So location, incident type, department, these are unique and they are connecting to this. So there's one-to-many relationship. That's pretty much it. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to create our calendar table. All right, so to create our calendar table, we come to basically the modeling view, the modeling here, this side, modeling, and create new table. So this new table, we're going to create it with DAX measure, right? So we're going to use a DAX measure to create that. Now, when it comes to creating calendar table, there's always, basically a DAX measure for it. And it is important that you know how to interpret it. So we're going to just use the DAX measure that we know for creating calendar table. So that's something that you probably will have to be doing every time you're creating a calendar table. And the interpretation is very, very simple. It's just the fact that we are adding columns, and the column that we are adding should be based on the calendar auto function. So the calendar auto function creates calendar starting from the the starting date within our date column. All right, the date column in our source data or in our fact table is going to automatically generate the date starting from that date, and then it's going to go all the way to the end date within our data model. So every time you keep adding on to the date in the source data, this date calendar or calendar date is going to keep extending or expanding dynamically. So we are using the calendar auto function, and we're saying that these are the columns. The year should be this year function, the month should be this format, the month number should be this format, and all of that. So that's pretty much what it is. We're just going to hit enter, and that's going to create our calendar table. So to see that, we just come here and we're going to see. So there's the date, we are seeing the year column, the month number column, the quarter, based on all of these formats. So that's pretty much what it is. So we come to the model view, and then we need to basically connect the calendar table to the source data. So we need to connect this to the date column. So this one is unique. This one is basically many repeated many times, right? So there's like one-to-many relationship. That's pretty much what it is, and we establish that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create a hierarchy. So we create a hierarchy, and then we add the relevant dates and the relevant format or the various levels of the dates to our hierarchy. So we want month, year also added. So we have the dates. So the dates, let's probably add the date. No, we don't need the dates. We have the date, we have the month, we have the quarter, we have the year. That's okay. So we're going to hide all of this from showing in the report view. So come here and we click on this, and it's going to hide all of them. So you're just going to see the calendar hierarchy or the date hierarchy. Okay. So we come to report view, and now we have our calendar table here. We have our department there. We have our incident type, we have our location, we have our source data. So the source data is the main fact table. That's pretty much the fact table. That's all the information we need for referencing them in our DAX measures. Okay, so now we are getting ready to start calculating our DAX. Now our DAX is based on the KPIs I want to generate. And what is the KPI? Where are they? Okay, let's go back and look at the KPIs or the metrics you're trying to track. I didn't open that, sorry guys. So basically you're trying to answer all of these questions. What is the total incident? What is the incident that resulted in personal injury? Or what is the percentage of human error? What is the percentage of completed investigation? What is the incident trend? The types of incident that occur the most? What is the severity levels? The locations, the department, the category? We've done that already. Go back to the first video and have a look at all of these stuff that we discussed. Okay, so I'm going to be creating this. Let's go back, and I'll start creating the DAX measure. So what I'm going to do first is to basically create a new table. Okay, we come to home tab and we come to enter data. So enter data is very, very important. That's what we use to create a new table. So we just come to, so that's basically how we try to segregate or separate our calculations from the other table. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my first measure, which is the total incident that we have in our data set, right? Or the total row. So I'll go to, I'll click on there and I'll create measure. So just click where you want to create a measure and I'll just create total incidents. It's gonna be we're gonna count rows, right? So basically it's about counting the rows. Count rows in our source data, right? So basically in our table you should count the rows. I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, and that's a whole number. So we have our depth measure right in there. How do we say that we are indeed counting we are getting some value? So let's just bring in some table and then let's look at it. Let's click on the measure. When we do that, we get 100, right? So we already have our 100 number of incidents. Okay, I would want to delete this column because it's not needed. I'll just delete it from the data model basically to keep it clean. The next function I'm going to create is that I'm going to create how many personal injuries. But before you can do personal injuries, you want to know the various types of incidents, right? So we're going to do total. Before that, let me just bring in the various types of incidents so we can see them clearly, right? So we have the total incident, and this is an important measure. We call it an explicit measure because we're going to use it many times in our calculations. Because if you really want to create like if you want to create, for example, a chart, like let's see, you want to see the count of incident, we could have probably used just the incident types, right? I just click on incident types right here, and that's gonna give me without the total, right? And I could probably create another one like this. Okay, so the count now is gonna write count of, right? We still have the same. We're still able to sort of visualize our data just using those column headers and everything. But the thing is that count of incident type, this measure, or not even a measure, this column header cannot be used for further calculation because you cannot be referencing count of incident types in any type of calculation. So this is called implicit measure, right? Implicit measure. So we always have to work with the explicit measure, which is the one that is based on a DAX function. Okay, so I'll just bring in my categories and now we have the total in there. So this is probably our first chart that we'll be creating. Okay, but the next thing I need to do is I need to find out the various incidents so I'll be able to put them together and then use that to determine what the personal injury is. Now, what is a personal injury? Personal injury is basically first aid case. We're gonna do first aid case. Okay, it includes medical treatment, residual work case, lost time injury, and all of that. So first aid, we're gonna use a calculate function. And I hope I'm not talking too much, guys. Just take it easy on me because I'm tired like that. Not a big deal. So calculate, count, basically gonna look at the source data, incident type, right? And we're gonna close parentheses. We're gonna use a comma sign, and we still wanna count. We're gonna still reference the column that has the information. We're gonna go for first aid, right? We want to make sure we type exactly what it's supposed to be. First aid. So we have our another measure right in here, but let's try to make sure that we are seeing all of these measures that we are creating. Okay, so let me just do the total incident first. Let's do the first aid. Now we can see properly, right? Now I'm just gonna copy this measure, and I'm going to create another one, and this one is going to be for restricted work keys, right? Or after first aid, the next one is medical treatment case. Okay, and then we're gonna make sure that it's exactly what it is. I think it's there as injury, medical treatment injury, probably. I'm just gonna do that, and let's select again. We have 11, as you can see, and then we move on again. I'm just gonna create another one. Control C, and then we go for restricted work keys, right? So with regards to restricted work keys, I believe that we can spell it properly, because whenever we are entering these things, we need to make sure that it's exactly what it is. When you type something that is not correct, you're not going to get a correct figure, right? So we are on track. So the last one is the lost time injury. So let's quickly do lost time injury. Okay, lost time. All right, and I'm just going to type it in there. Not type Control C and paste, right? Okay, so we have that also captured, and let's see if it populates. Okay, it works. Now we're gonna do personal injury. So what is a personal injury? So personal injury will be equal to basically referencing all of these measures that we've created. And as I did mention, that is the importance of like having an explicit measure, right? So we can just use first aid plus lost time injury. I mean, particular order, we just select what we see plus restricted work case. So first aid, lost time, medical, restricted case. So these are really what personal injuries are. Okay, so we are not done. Personal injury is not 43. There's another one that we're supposed to select. Fatality, we did not do fatality. Fatality is also a personal injury, so let's do fatality. Okay, so I don't want to waste time. Let's quickly select one of the measures like lost time or something, and then Control C. Okay, and this one will be for fatality. And we'll just tap it in there really quick. Okay, that's it. And then we add, fatality is 9, so we're just gonna add that to personal injury. So we'll do plus fatality. Okay, and that's it. So we have 52 personal injuries. So that's pretty much it. And we are seeing that. Let's go back to the KPI again. The metrics that we are using, we say the percentage of human error. Okay, percentage of human error. So then what we're going to do is that we're going to look at what is the number of human error. So let's just call it human error. Okay, and we come to calculate. So human error is under cost category, and then we close parentheses, we continue again, and we're seeing that the cost category should be equal to human error. And that's going to count the human error. You can see it clearly to see that it's counting the human error, right? And then we're going to say that, okay, percentage human error is equal to, basically we're going to use the divide basically the divide function is going to select the human error divided by the denominator, which is total incidence. So you see how we are able to use these measures in other calculations. That's the essence of an explicit measure, because explicit measure allows you to use it as many times as you want. So basically this one is going to be a percentage. So over here we can set the percentage or the data type that we want. Okay, so let's start working on our KPI cards, right? So we just select the new KPI card, and then we start off counting how many incidents, how many personal injuries, percentage of fatality, right? Then we're gonna do the last one, which is basically percentage investigation. So we go into our KPI, we're gonna see that there is one that we're supposed to do, which is percentage investigation. So I'm gonna do that right now. So we're first gonna count investigation completed. And then we're gonna type completed, but we need to make sure we locate the column header. Which column is it? So it's investigation, level of investigation. So basically when it comes to these things, once you get a hang of it, you don't even have to start all over again whenever you're creating them. You just copy and paste. Okay, so investigation completed. The next thing is going to be percentage of investigation completed, right? Percentage investigation completed, and this one's going to be divide as well. We have the investigation completed divided by total incidents, and then in case it's wrong we put 0 there, and then this one's going to be percentage as well. Okay, so we just add it to our KPI card, and the layout of our KPI card is that it's not showing all of them, so we just want to increase it to 4. Okay, and that's it right here. So we are done with our KPI card. The next thing I'm going to do is bring all the visuals. So that's very, very fast. I'll just do that really quick. We have our incident types in here. Okay, so I'm just going to do Control C, Control V. I'll do the next one will be like let's have a look at, let me just check from my report, because I need to make sure we're replicating exactly what we have in here. So let me just quickly check. I've not opened the file here, so I'm gonna do that really quick. So incident incident by, yes, so basically incident type, and then we have incident by location, right? So the location, we're gonna go in there and bring in location. So I'll just go here, uncheck this, and then select location. Then I have location. Then I'm just going to do Control C, Control V. I bring it in here. This is going to be for personal injury. So I just, uncheck and then select personal injury. So there are various types of injuries, right? I think there's the injuries, right? So these are the various types of injuries. But instead of using total incident, I would have to use personal injury. So now I have it there. That will remove the not applicable. I'm going to do Control C. Then I'm going to do incident trend. So incident trend has to be based on the incident itself. I remove this and I go to our calendar table, right? So our calendar table is here. I'm going to select. Now within our calendar table, we don't need all of this. You just need one of them. So let's start off with the month, the year. Let's uncheck this. We need just the month, the quarter, and the year, so that we can draw up and down, okay, like this. So we don't need this one, we need a line chart. So I'll just change it to line chart, and there we have it. So what we're having here is that our dates, our month is not properly arranged. As you can see, you have April, August, December, you have January. So what I'm going to do is that I'll quickly go to our dates, our calendar dates, and I'll see that this month should filter should be filtered, should be sorted according to the month number. So I'll have to go to the table tools, right, and then look for the option to sort, right? So that's the sort column. So we're going to see sort this column by month number, and once you come to the report view, it's going to correct. So there we have it: January, February, March, April, May, June, and everything. The next I'm going to do is incident by department. So I'll just Control C, Control V, and I'll bring it in here, and then I'm just going to select department. All right, the last one has to do with the causal category. So the causal categories also, I'll just Control C, Control V, I'll bring it in here, and then I'll choose the causal categories or the cause category. So the cause category is a donor chart. So we just check the donor charts early enough, right? So right now we have all the visuals in there, and we need to clean them up. So in terms of cleaning up, that's where the wireframing first will come in, but we need to just remove those unnecessary values. So we have the Y column or the Y axis, the X axis, remove the title, the X axis as well, remove the title and the values as well. Okay, and basically we can start to change the colors. So the column, sorry, the chart title, we want to replace it with incident types, and then the personal injury. So basically once I'm done, I could just use a paint brush to copy the format and paste it on all of this, and paste it on all of this, right? And this one I have to do it again, so I just come to the Y here, and then I would remove the title of the Y axis or X axis. I do the same thing for the Y axis, and I probably don't need the values as well on the Y axis. Okay, yes, I think we have it like this. So with this one, I'll quickly go to the general, the title, and I'll change it to incident trend. And then this one will be personal injuries. And then this one would be incident by department. This one is incident by location. Okay, and this one will be incident cause categories. Okay, so I think we are done. This department, let's be consistent with the the naming. It has to all be like start with the capital letter first, and then the rest are all small letters. So it's location also, just make it location like this, just to keep everything consistent, right? Personal injury. Okay, incident types also, let's make only the first word capital letter. Incident trend. So this thing is not really a big deal anyway. So basically we have our visuals in here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to do our wireframe. So the wireframing is really what we need to work on. So we quickly go into our PowerPoint slide. So we've already designed a wireframe, so I'll just go and show you how the wireframe looked at, and we're going to replicate same. All right, so basically week 2 of our project, we had a wireframe. So I'll just open the wireframe so we can all look at it, and I'll show you how we created this wireframe. So it's really simple. It's just like shapes that we copy onto the PowerPoint sheet, page, if you call it. So I'm just gonna Control C, Control V, right? I'm gonna hide all of this, delete all of this, right? We're gonna start from scratch, so I'm gonna remove all of this. So basically look at it like this. What we have, the first is the background. I'm just gonna select this is the background. Okay, there's the first background we have here, and this background color is basically this one. So we're just gonna copy the formatting and paste it here. Now these formats, these colors, you can always find them on the internet. There are color pickers that you can use to find nice colors for your dashboard. So we're gonna basically copy go to shapes, right? We go to insert, we go to shape, and we look at this very one. Okay, rectangle with top corners rounded. So this one. So that's basically the first one, except that we turned it this way. Okay, all right. So basically, you can hit shift to align it properly. Yes, exactly. So we can use shift whenever you are trying to, turn it around. You can use shift. So there's the other one, but we rounded the corner a little bit. So let's round it nicely like this, and we bring it all the way down. So there's the first one. Okay, and we literally copy the same color. So let's use a paintbrush and paste it in here. We can resize it, and then we also brought in another shape. So we go to the shapes, and then use the rounded corners. Okay, so we have the rounded corners in here like this, and then we will try to make it a little bit not too round, a little bit square. All right, and then we send it back. We send it to the back. This one goes to the back again, and this one comes in front. And this one is a lighter color, so we're just gonna copy it and paste it over it. There's a lighter color, and then we bring in those other shapes again. So we go in there and bring shapes. Those shapes are for our cards. We have 4 cards. Okay, so because we are using Power BI and we have a new cards types, those cards you cannot really you cannot divide them like that because they're all together. So it's better we use a background that is basically very long, so that we put all those cards on it. So we have this one, and basically there's the color of it. We just use a paintbrush, and then we paint over it, and then the same design, we only reduce the size, and then we create basically the number of charts that we're trying to introduce. So basically that's what we do, and then we can just resize it nicely to fit the space that we want to work with. So this one comes here, and the beauty of PowerPoint is the fact that as you're trying to align, it's able to measure exactly the distance and everything. So as you're coming like this, you can see it's measuring the distance against the other shapes. So I'll just distribute evenly. So distribute evenly like this, put it in the middle, distribute horizontally, Control C, Control V. I bring it down, right? And I try to make sure that I create enough space between them. And then I'm just gonna select this and vertically distribute. Okay, and then also this one and this one has to align, center. You need to center it properly with this one as well. Center, and with this one as well we center. And then we try to make sure that all of them are properly distributed. So that's pretty much it. So if you can see, it's almost similar to what we have. Okay, so creating a wireframe is not really anything difficult, very, very simple. Okay, so it's all about adding value to it, making it look nice, adding some shadow and everything. So we're still gonna use what we have here. So the thing is that, let me now delete this one because we already know how to do it. What I'm gonna do is that I want to make sure I reduce the rounded edges, right? So let's try to reduce the rounded edges a little bit. Let's make it like this. Let's reduce this one as well. So I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna Control C, Control V, bring it down here. And then with these two, I'll need to sort of ensure that they are distributed vertically so that it looks cool. And I'll Control C, Control V. I'm gonna just just make sure that I have it in there. So that's pretty much it, and I'm gonna control all and then I could group them if I want. It's not a big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export as SVG file. All right, so I just save as I browse where exactly I want to have it. So let's go back and put it in the project that we are working on, and then I'll just come to the file type and I change it to scalable vector image, and then I suggest this one. So what I'm going to do is I come to my Power BI file, then I go to our the page layout. So you just click in where, so that this side will be active. Page setting. Now one thing we need to do is that we need to do a custom page setting, right? Custom, and it's supposed to be 1920 by 1080, right? 1920 by 1080. Okay, so it's supposed to be 1080 rather, 1080 by 1920. So that is our, this is our basically dashboard size, the size of our page. So we just come to the background and bring in this image in there. Okay, so we ensure that we fit to size, right? Okay, so I'm not seeing it well. Let's go and copy it. What's going on? Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint again and see what's happening. I'm exporting this, change file type, go to scalable vector graphic, and then go to the folder that we have, the projects, tutorials, projects. Okay, and then I'm gonna replace just this one. And I come here, then I go to, okay, so let's see what will happen if it's gonna populate. Okay, so basically we need to make sure that the transparency is is 0, so that we can see clearly what we are working with. Okay, yes, so this one is coming here, this one is coming here, and then this one is coming here, and then this one as well, and we have this. And then when it comes to this, we just have to play around. So now we're gonna be playing around with the colors. Okay, so this is how big it is. What we're gonna do is that first of all, we are going to select the layout, and we will go to shape, right? Hold on, the layout, the core card, the card type. We want the shape with rounded rectangle, and then we go to the accent bar, we turn it on, and we're gonna put accent bar at the top. So we have the accent bar there, the label, the card label. Let's find the label of the card. Okay, so call out value. So we go to call out value, and we want to make sure that it is a font that we like. So the font is probably Segway UI bold. You probably want to work with bold for now. The label, okay, the label is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick our colors. So we got enough colors, which we already may be aware. We can go to the PowerPoint slide to look at the colors that we are using. Okay, so just come here, I click on this, control format shape, go to fill, and then I'll just copy this. Okay, Control C. So I come here, and then I click on it. I come to card background, and then I'm gonna use that color, Control V. So what I do is that we try to make it, transparent a bit, maybe to 50. I think it's probably 40. Let's see, 40. 50 rather. So let's stick to this, okay? And then the color values are going to be white, okay? And then the labels, right? So the labels will be, I think the color value, the label is here, right there. You have it. The label is going to be white. So with this, I think the background is not going to be, let's make it 40. Yes, we are getting there. So 40 is okay. Now we need to do our accent bar. So our accent bar, we come to the card, the accent bar, we can increase the width a little bit. Let's go with 4 or 5 or 6, something that's visible enough for us to see. Okay, then I will try to go to where I usually pick my colors, right? So we have an color, here's htmlcolorcodes.com. So let me just paste this color here. Okay, so here I can have various shades of the color. So I'll probably have a lighter shade of it. So I just Control C, and then over here I just come to card, and then the accent bar, I'll just change this to the lighter one. Okay, so that is very cool. We are getting there. Let me just increase the size of this a little bit. Okay, yeah, so that's okay. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to start working on the colors. All right, so first of all, let us recognize the fact that we are going to be introducing some conditional formatting to all of these visuals, because we want to know the highest value of all of this. So that is another set of measures that we're going to be calculating, and it's quite a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that we're going to start with the incident type. Okay, all right, so basically when it comes to incident type, we're going to be first estimating what is the highest, what is the maximum of the parameters as far as incident types is concerned. So let us work with a table. So we're going to have our first table so we can see clearly. But before that, let's create another table to contain all our measures for incident type, because each category is going to have its own set of measures. So we come to enter data. We're going to call it highlights. We're going to call it highlights. Then we just say incident types. So I'm just going to load in there. We can change the table name if you want. So highlight incident type. So the first measure we're going to calculate will be the max of the incident types. Okay, so what is the maximum max of incident types? Now take note that incident types are categorical. It's a categorical data, in the sense that if we click on incident type here, like for example, if I click on this measure, I click incident type, it is category. And then even if we have the total incident by it, which we have here, how do we know the maximum of this? So we're going to have to categorize this again in a table and then bring the maximum value by it. Okay, so what we're going to do is basically to create another summary of the table and find the maximum value. Okay, so we're gonna see max incidents, and we're gonna use calculate. And this calculates, we are saying we want the max x. Max x helps us to do a row by row analysis. So it's going to check through, not based on aggregate function. It's going to go through each row. So what we're going to do, we're going to summarize the source data table, but we want to locate where the data is. So the data for incident types, you need to find it. So it's incident type, and then we need to give it a column name. So basically we're going to see count incident. So there's a column name that we are using for the summary table, and then we are saying that within that summary table it should count the rows. Okay, and we are counting the rows in the source data again, referencing the new column that we've created, which is count of incidents, and we're saying I want all the data in the source. All the data in the source data. Okay, and there we have it. We've created our max. So now let's put the max by this, and let's see. So that we have it, we have our maximum value. So the maximum value is 14, and that's pretty much everything that we have here. So we have the max value, as we can see. So the next argument that we're going to introduce is the fact that we want to use an if statement to identify the maximum within the column. So it's going to literally create an argument where if this is equal to this, if this is equal, it should indicate 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to call it incident highlight. Okay, incident type highlight. I want to highlight the incident type. So these type of names depends on you. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we're saying that if total incident is equal to max, which we just created, max of incidents, it should give us 1. If not, give us 0. Close parenthesis. Okay, so I didn't close the wall. Sorry. That's it. Okay, so basically we have this argument, and we are saying that if this is equal to this, you give us 1. If not, it should give us 0. So that's pretty much it. So now we're going to use a color code. So we need to find the color code that we're going to use to identify what will be the maximum, and then the rest will going to be like a normal color. So we're going to use a color code. So we're going to see that incident highlights color. So you're gonna see that if incident type highlights is equal to 1, it should give us the color code, right? So the color code that we're going to use will be what we've identified. So let's go and pick the color code. We can use this one. So this is the first one. Okay, let's select this one, Control C, and bring it in there. So it should be this one, but we put it in double quotation, right? We'll put in quotation mark because we are referencing a text. If not, it should give us something lighter. So this is probably lighter. We use this one, and then we just use a double quotation again, and that will be it. So what it means is that we've introduced a text. So this is going to be a text argument. As we see in the, we have a text, not a value. So what we're going to do is that we are going to use that as conditional format, so as a field value. So we click on this, we go to the bar chart, the color, we click on it, we come to use field value, we go through where that very measure is going to be a highlight of incident. We select this, and there we have it. We've been able to introduce this color, right? So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for all of them. Okay, so now we're going to move fast with this argument. So what it means is that every type of visual that is based on categories like this, we're going to use this to do the conditional formatting. Okay, so we need to create another separate table for location, department, and personal injury. So let's continue with location, department, because those are pretty straightforward, right? So let's go to, again, enter data, and we call it highlights for departments. Highlights department. Okay, so with this one, we don't even have to struggle too much. We literally copy everything that we did for the first one. So we started off with a max. Okay, Control C, and then we come to, we open here because we're going to be entering it here, and then we're going to paste it in there, and we say max department, right? Or is it department? Yeah, max department. So one thing about these measures is that you can always use them. So source data, incident type, you go to where the department is. So incident type, no more incident type. It's going to be source data, department, right? And then we want to change it quickly to department incident. That's the name of the table that we are creating. And then count rules, count. So that's pretty much this one. So we're going to make sure that we are typing in the correct one. So it's going to be department incidents, and then that'll be it. So we've done that. So we move on we copy this other one, which is the if statement to highlight whether it is the maximum is equal to the incident type. We do the same thing. So we just Control V, and we see highlights and department highlights. So basically, if the total incident is equal to the max of the max department, right? So it's max department, it should give us 1, and then we do the color coding. So basically the color code, yes, the color code, Control C, Control V, and we see that if incident highlights, so department highlights. So if incident highlights, so we're not using incident highlights, we're using department highlights. Department highlights. That's it. So we come to department, we quickly go to the bar chart, we go to bars, we go to the color, we click on conditional formatting, we come to the field value, we locate department highlight, and there we have it. We hit this, and we've selected it. So we can remove this one from basically our table. We do the same thing for location. So we're gonna enter data, we create a new table, we call it highlight location highlight, or highlight location, right? So the naming, it's not a big deal, it's all up to you. Highlight location, we load it in there, and then we do the same thing. So max, we're going to start off for the max, new measure, you paste it in there, max incidents, max location, and then we go to calculate max, summarize source data. The column is location, incident location, so I think it's just location, and then we're gonna do location incident as a new column name, and then count through source data is gonna be location incident, and then that's pretty much it. And then we go to the location highlight. So if the max is equal to the incident type, it should highlight it as 1. So location highlight. And we're saying that if 2 times is equal to max location, right, it should give us 1. If not, it should return 0. And then the color code is basically that the highlight one should be color coded, a particular color. So basically location highlight color. I'm saying that if location highlights, is equal to, it should return this. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We click on the visual, we come to the bar chart, we come to the field value, go to field value here, we go to location where we have the location highlight. Why was I doing it? Okay, I was probably loading it somewhere or other. Okay, I did it on the incident type. Can you imagine? I created a new table, alright, but I didn't move it. So usually when it comes to moving things around, I put it in the incident type table instead of, so we can always move it. When it comes to creating a measure, you can always reorganize the location of it. You click on it, and I will move it from incident type to location highlights. Do the same thing to move to location highlights, because we really want to organize our DAX measures properly. Location highlights. Yes, so I will remove this, delete this from the model. Alright, so we have location highlight. Now the next one will be personal injuries, right? So personal injuries is literally the same thing. We're gonna use personal injury, but there's another concern with personal injury. Personal injury has, the column has a lot of not applicable. If you look if you go to transform data, and we go into the personal injury, basically personal injury, we have not applicable. So we need to exclude not applicable from the various types of injuries. We need to exclude it and find a maximum of amputation, whatever the injury types. So instead of the normal approach, we're going to use something else. We're going to filter out the not applicable, and that is a twist to what we are trying to do right now, because we should be able to exclude that from this type of measure that we are creating. So we're going to do the highlight excluding not applicable. Okay, so we're going to do highlight for personal injury. We're going to load and create another table for our DAX measure. So where is it? Highlight for personal injury. There we have it. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to still use the same arguments, but we're going to exclude basically not applicable. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start off doing our max of personal injury. So max personal injury is equal to, we are going to do what we call the variable, right? So we just shift down and do the variable, this var. We use it to lock the name. It's like you are creating a name which will later reference in the calculation. So we are going to call it summary table, right? And this summary table will be equal to the, you're going to use a summarize function, and within this summarize function we're going to filter all source data, and then basically we're going to look at the source data injury types, right? Not injury types, injury types. Injury types, personal injuries, injury types, personal injury types. Yes. And we are going to see that we are filtering out the any. Okay, filtering out any and then we continue the argument with the source data. All right, so let's have a look at it. Well, summarize, filter all source data injury type is not equal to this. We need to close parentheses. And then we continue to source data injury types, injury type, and then we create our table, which is count injuries, and then we go to count rows, and then we go to source data again, and that's pretty much it. And then we're going to use a return to close the VAR, and we come down again to max X, the summary table. That's the summary table rather. And then the column that we created, count injuries. So that's pretty much it. We hit enter. So basically that's the max of personal injury. So if I go here, let me just convert this to a table and let's have a look. I convert it to table and I add the max injury. It's supposed to give me the max. So the not applicable is still showing. All right, so let's continue the argument. We're gonna see what we can do once we are done. Okay, and I believe that's gonna work. So let's just continue. So we're gonna go to new measure and see the personal injury. Where you are. Go to new measure. I see. If personal if personal injury is equal to max of personal injury, it should return 1. If not, return 0. This one is there, and then we go to color coding. That's personal injury color. If personal injury highlight is equal to 1, return those colors. So again, we go to the the color that we use. So let's try to find out which color did we use. Let's click on another one. This one. So basically these two. Yeah, so we have it in there. Let's go. We will definitely fix the error if we are having that error. Let's go and check value, personal injury highlight, color code. All right, so that means that we didn't get the maximum, so we need to work on the maximum. Okay, so this maximum of the personal injury, we are focused on personal injury. Summarize the table, filter all the source data, injury type. Personal injury type is not equal to not applicable. So the source data injury type then we are counting the injuries, we count the rows, and we return. We go to the maximum of summary table, count injuries. I see. I think that there is a problem with our data set. The data set is wrong to some extent. Okay, because if you clean up the data properly, we are going to have the number of not applicable is going to reduce. So there's a problem with our data which I need to clean up. So I'll just quickly check once again, because I did realize that it was a bit different when we were working on it. So let me just open once again, and I'll try to find out, because then this type of data we actually just created it with ChatGPT, right? So it's not consistent. So if we are filtering out personal injury like fatality and the rest, or non-personal injury, so we go to non-personal injury, so that will be spill, property damage, and then near miss and fire. Okay, spill, property damage, near miss, fire. These are not personal injury, so let's filter out. Okay, so injury severity, injury type, so all of these are not supposed to be here. Injury types, all of these are supposed to be taken away, because there's no personal injury. Fire is not a personal injury. A small fire broke out causing minor damage but no injury. But why is it burns? So I remove this. These things are not correct. So I would basically ensure that. And then when it comes to fatality, first aid cases, lost time injury, medical treatment case, and respiratory case, for them, all of them should be filled out properly. Okay, so that's pretty much what we are supposed to be doing to keep the data clean. That's how data cleaning, quality of the data is really, really important. So right now we just remove those wrong data. So I just close this, okay, and then I'll refresh this. There we have it. We've been able to fix it. What it means is that if you convert this to tabular form and bring the max, you notice that the 9 is the highest. So that's exactly what we did right now, when it comes to trying to ensure that the data is correct. So there's something I realized when I was working with the Excel data. I noticed, but apparently we're referencing the personal injury form, the various types of injuries. We did a calculation based on the various types of injury and added them up. When it comes to this personal injury, laceration, the rest, we need to make sure that the not applicable are indeed not applicable. So if there's fire, it shouldn't be saying burns and all of that. So we've been able to fix it. Over here, we are going to use the slides. We're going to pick some various color ranges, right? So we come to the we come here and pick another one. Let's pick the one in the middle. Okay, go here and we change the color to this. Okay, and then basically we're gonna do some formatting. So let's remove this one. Let's go to property. Let's go to padding, and let's make it 0. Make here also 0. Make here also 0. Let's resize it nicely, bigger, resize. Let's reduce the layout. Come to layout. The spacing. Let's increase it to 80. Okay, and this one too, we're gonna use the line. We're gonna select dash like this. We're gonna select dash. We're gonna choose this color. Okay, and then we'll bring the markers, but we're gonna do something else, and then we're gonna make it a smooth. The line should be smooth line, not linear but smooth. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is that we need to bring highlight for this as well. Now when it comes to highlight for incident type, that is not a categorical data. This is a qualitative data. When we go to data table, we convert this to table. Let's convert this to table and see. Change to table. You see that it's like total incidents. There's quantitative data. That is pretty much it. So we're gonna also create some maximum value for it. We're gonna create another table. Go to home, enter data. Okay, and we go to highlight incident type. Okay, we load it in there. Okay, and then basically where is it? Where they go? Okay, that's pretty much this one. So with this one, we're gonna look at we're gonna also use a VR in some way. Okay, so we're gonna go to incident type, and we're gonna see VR. So VAR is used to lock. It's used to name basically it's used to lock the measure, and you use it again in the formula. Okay, so all calendar table, the month particularly, and then we see that we are sort of looking at the maximum of the calendar table, particularly the month number, and then the total incidents. And then we would also have a VR for max check. Okay, VR max check, and that's to check if the incident is equal to the max. So total incidents is equal to incident max, then return incident max. If not, return blank. And then we literally close parentheses, and we complete the the max. Basically the VAR, you always have to complete that statement with a return, and then that we are saying that we want the max check. On the max check. So what it means is that this incident type should be equal to the max, as simple as that. this incident type should be equal to the max as long as these conditions have been met. The incident max should be the max of the calendar table, month number, and we're looking at the total incident. You should look at the max of it, and then how do we check the max? If the total incident is equal to the max, you should tell us is this one, and then if not blank, we're saying that this one is equal to this. So that's pretty much it. So this one gives us a value, and this value can then be used as a secondary axis in our visual. Okay, so basically we come here, this y-axis, we add the other one. So incident max, right? We bring it in here, and that's this one, and we can rename it for the visual. So rename for the visual, we call it max value. Max value. And with this one we can change the color. So basically we go to line charts, max value, and we go to this color and we change it to deeper color. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that means that we need to make the other one lighter. Okay, so for lighter color of this, you probably click on it again, go to line charts, total incidents, change it to maybe something lighter like this. Okay, yeah, so now that we've created this, the next thing we're going to do is to just bring in our the symbols, but we're going to bring in a text box. So insert a text box, make it bigger enough, bring it all the way to the top. Okay, and there's gonna be like incident trend analysis as well. We center it, or no center, we just increase the size maybe to 32. Control A. Uh, 28, and then we change the color to this one, and a segue UI bold to center analysis dashboard. Okay, we move the background. We go to basically property effect, no background, right? Yes, and then we bring in our filter. So we have filter for so we have first filter. This filter will be for our department and the rest. So we have filter for the incident type. We want slicer setting, we want drop down. Okay, and then we want another one for basically location as well. Okay, so let's try to go back to our PowerPoint. All right, so I just want to check my reference. So department, incident type, location. So it's going to be location. We remove this, we give it use location. And the next one is going to be department. So we find departments. Yes, that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do next is just change the color. So this, how we sort of went about it. Okay, so this white color is not bad at all. We can probably keep this white color. So let's now go to slicer settings, slicer selection, or slicer header, background. There's the background, the value. Let's go to slicer settings, effects, and visual border. So there we have it, visual border. This is where we can round the corners a little bit and make this one a bit lighter. Let's look at it. So let's go back again, effects, visual border, and increase it. Now let's look at it. It looks okay, not bad. So we copy this format, paintbrush, paste it on this one, paintbrush, paste it on this one. All right, so we have it there, and then we go into our images, shapes, or not in shapes, image. We go to bring in some visuals, right? So that's how it is. We go to our tools, we go to visualization, we go to my 50 symbols, then I go to white solid. I select what I can bring in. This is coming in, this one's also coming in. Okay, I cannot select all of them at a go, so I just select one after the other. I bring this one here, I go back again, then I bring this one here, then I go back again, then I bring this one. Okay, where you are. And then the last one. Okay, so when it comes to this, we just have to make sure that the sizes are all the same. So 90 by, we can try to resize like this. It's okay, no, this is not bad. Like this, so 87151, 151, 87, 151, 87, and this one also 87 and 151. Yeah, so this one now is sort of in there now, so we just have to align them properly. You select this, you select this, you select it, go to format shape, and then middle, and that is it. And then we can bring in our navigation pin. If you have a lot of okay, so we brought in another text, right? So we just create a Control C, Control V. Okay, let me shift this one up a little bit. Then I bring in another text box. Yeah, so this is basically how we created this dashboard. Okay, so the rest are sort of normal stuff that you just use to keep it nicer. Okay, so that is it, guys. We are actually almost done. So this is a comparative analysis of workplace incident by location, department, and incident types. Okay, and then Control A, and then we give it a very nice color. I think the same color as the other one, and then we go to effects and sort of remove the background. Sorry, properties, effects, and the background is removed. Yes, so this is something we have to just increase the font a little bit, maybe to about 11, and that's pretty much it. And we just bring in our other images. So we just go to insert, and this will be for the navigation pane. So the navigation pane, usually you select a blank image like this, and you bring it here, you resize it nicely. Okay, and then you just go to style and come to icons and go to custom, and just go and select the image that you want to use. So we have sort of home first, right? You have this, and we just bring it in, and that will be it. So we could use it to hover. We can do hover when change another color and select the the style hover, and all of that. We can do all of that. So let's just Control C, Control V, we bring it here, Control C, we're here as well, Control V. Okay, so we just go here, style, icon, we choose, you know, any image that we like, maybe this one, and we go here and we choose another one basically. Okay, so let's change this one. Alright, so that's pretty much what we've done. We've been able to replicate this. We now select this one and we sort of distribute vertically, and then we can sort of drag it properly in place where it's supposed to be. Maybe here is better. Yes, so there we have it. We've been able to replicate this. Now the next thing we do is that we just bring in the labels, right? So we come to the bar and data labels. We bring in the data labels for this one as well. Data label audio. Yes. So there we have it, guys. So we've been able to replicate this dashboard, as you can see, with a little tweak right to it. So this is pretty much how to create dashboard in Power BI. So now that we are done, this now is the back end of our dashboard. When you publish it to the web like this and you click publish, okay, then it is going to load. So I'm just going to select this and I select yes. So this incident trend dashboard. There's a new file, so it's not going to overwrite anything. So now I have it in my workspace. Okay, if I go to my workspace, this is my workspace, and I come here. Okay, I'm gonna find the latest file that I just published. So I just refresh. Okay, so incident trend, that's it right here. This is the one I just published. Okay, if I click on it, it's gonna open this one. So there we have it. So this one is different from this. This one is different from this, as you can see. So it is in my workspace. I can now come here. I can click on embed reports. You're gonna give me. You're gonna ask for admin. I say okay. I come back again. Public. Now it's gonna give me opportunity to sort of publish, right? So it's gonna generate a code. Now I have the code. I copy this code. I could now share it with all my users or within the organization. I could embed it on intranet. So now this is not the new web link for our dashboard, and that is the power of Power BI. Okay, so it's gonna just take time to load, and there we have it, guys. Okay, so guys, this brings to an end this amazing tutorial video. I believe that you find it very insightful. It's such a long video, I understand, and that is basically the essence of learning and challenging ourselves. So if you came this far, congratulations. I'm gonna see you again in another video. Bye for now. Cheers.